This is Dr. Farah, and today we will talk about marketing process. Marketing process is a four-stage model which you try to develop to understand your customers and then to deliver value to your customers. So, the first stage of the marketing process is called recognizing the gap, where you try to understand where is the gap, which we call a sweet spot, and I'll explain it to you later. Once you identify the sweet spot, then you identify the value for whom you have to create. So here you understand the segmentation, the target market, and the positioning. And in the third phase, you actually create the value through your four P's, we'll talk about in a moment. And in the fourth stage, you sustain the value for your customers. So let's talk about your marketing process with the help of an example of Khadi, and then we'll go into the details of the process. Khadi is one of the fashion brands of Pakistan. We have already talked about it in our previous video. Um, Now let's talk about it, how Khadi has recognized a gap. So now imagine that you are a woman and you want to buy clothes, but the worst worry that you have after buying the cloth is that whether my tailor will stitch it in a nice way or not, the way I want it to be stitched. So that is like one of the biggest worries that a woman will have. The second worry, of course, is the customer experience. If I'll go to the retail outlet, will I get the good customer experience or not? So, this is the gap which is existing in the market. Now, if you are a khadi, then what have you assessed out of it? You thought one thing about it, that okay, women need good value through their stitching. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that they want what? They want, yes, they want good customer experience. So this was the sweet spot which you have identified in recognizing the gap, and now you have to create the value out of it. Now you cannot create the value unless you don't know that who are the people you are targeting. So customers who face a lot of hassle in getting the print stitched by a tailor themselves would become the target market of khadi. And then khadi will create the value through its four P's. For example, khadi will open up massive flagship stores with good quality of pret wear, which is already stitched material, and with excellent customer experience and the services. But then the fourth, which is a very critical element, the stage, which is the sustaining the value. So over the years, Khadi has created a long-term relationship with his customers. So relationship development is very critical. Um, and so what you do, you top quality customer service, right? And you introduce helpful and friendly sales advisors. So this is the way you create, you sustain the value for your customers, and this whole process is called marketing process. So let's talk about step one. In step one, as I mentioned, the most important thing is identifying the sweet spot. And how do you do it? First, you try to understand the customer needs and insights as much as possible through market research, through market research and through observation surveys. Your retail outlet gives you that insight, your managers give you the insights. Once you have understood the customers well, then what you do, you try to understand your competition. Now, understanding of competition is equally important when we talk about marketing and value creation, because unless you don't understand what your customers offer, you cannot then distinguish yourself in the market. So that differentiation is very important in the market, and that differentiation cannot be achieved unless you don't understand your competitors well. So after understanding your competitors, then you also assess yourself. What are your capabilities? Can you really fulfill the customer needs or not? So in this whole framework, when you understand the customer needs, You then try to understand what your customers are offering. Now there must be then something which is still left out, the need which is still left out, which competitors are not fulfilling. And here you jump in, because you have the capacity, you have already assessed it, you say, all right, this is the gap in the market, and yes, we can fulfill. And that is called your sweet spot. So, most of you have heard about Uber. It's a car hailing service, and some of you might have experienced it. So, we will now, I'll play a video to you to understand how they have created, how they have identified the sweet spot, and then how have they delivered the value. So, let me play the video for you.
Before the launch of Uber in Pakistan, people would go to the roadside or nearby a taxi stand and spend a considerable amount of time looking for and hiring a pocket-friendly taxi ride. During peak hours, taxis would be fewer in number and drivers charged more than what was the right fare for the route. Also, women found local taxis a rather unsafe means of transport, especially when traveling alone. At the same time, drivers did not receive any guaranteed income or bonuses at the end of the day. They had to wait in taxi stands waiting for customers who bargained and negotiated lower fares. Also, the drivers could not charge extra money for the ride, even in situations of longer trip times due to traffic jams. Although local taxis have been operational in the country for quite a long time now, they provided only basic transportation services at competitive prices. Other than being a method of travel, a taxi did not add any value to its commuters. In fact, as fuel prices hiked, so did the taxicab fares. Uber's mobile application provides its customers with a simple and easy to use interface with integrated features for matching a driver with a passenger, tracking the route, paying ride fares, etc. It also offers multiple vehicle options for riders to choose from based on their budget, as well as cashless transactions. With Uber, the passenger wait time is reduced considerably. Also, ride fares are lesser than the regular taxi fares, and frequent users earn reward points and discounts from time to time. But above all, the ride is safe and comfortable, particularly for female passengers. Drivers, on the other hand, can work in their own flexible timings. They don't have to wait for customers anymore. The app automatically notifies them of a potential passenger. Also, the drivers receive a guaranteed income and bonus when they complete a certain number of rides per week. Above all, thanks to the app's surge pricing mechanism, the drivers make more money for the same distance traveled during peak hours.
So this is the way Uber has found the sweet spot and then created the value for its customers. It's a very interesting case study, and you should read it, and you should try to get the insights which you later can apply in your business. So let's move to the second step. The second step is about identifying the value. And it is very important to understand that what are my segments. Segments are the groups of people which are existing in the market. They have different needs. And you have to identify the target group out of those segments for which your product is the ideal product, and your product, because your product cannot create value for everybody, because everybody has different needs and requirements. But you have to find out that group for which your product is creating the most of the value, and that group is called your target group. And once you know your target group, then you position your product onto for that target group by doing positioning. We will do the positioning in another chapter, and then when we'll reach there, I'll explain the whole concept to you. But for the moment, you need to understand it that how the market is being divided, right? So market is being divided, and then one group is selected out of that market, which is called target group, for which you design your product. So this is a very interesting example of Unilever. Unilever has different product ranges, different product lines, and these are the three soaps that they are manufacturing. Now, just imagine one company and marketing three soaps. Why? Because of the concept of targeting. They in market there are different segments. So, for example, Dove is for that segment, which is willing to pay premium price for the product, for the soap, and they want a soap which has a high value of moisturizing. So they are willing to pay the price, and Unilever has produced this kind of a soap for them. The second is a beauty soap, which is not as expensive as Dove. So there is a segment out there which is interested in buying beauty soap for themselves. Then there is Lifebuoy. So Lifebuoy is a soap for masses. It's not that expensive, and it can reach to the masses for a good soap. It is considered as a good soap, but it's a soap for masses, and it's less expensive. So this is the way same company can introduce different products to cater for the needs of different segments. Then we have step three, which is now creating the value. So remember what we have talked about. At the first step, we talked about the sweet spot, right? The gap. In the second step, we identified the target group for us, for whom we would like to create value. And now it's a time to create the value. And you create the value through four P's, which are product, price, place, and which is product, promotion, place, and price. And through these four P's, what you do, you create value for your customers. And we'll talk about it in detail as we move forward. But interestingly, you also create value for your company, not only for for your customers, but for also for your company through pricing. Because when you sell a product, what you get out of it, you get the revenue, and revenue is the value that you are creating for your company. So let's move forward with the examples. So this is an example of product. It's a Fruta Villas, Fruta Vitals. It's a Nestle product. Now, it used to be in Tetra packaging. Now it is in PET bottle. Now, I'm sure Nestle team must have identified the sweet spot. Then they must have identified the target market. And then they changed the product features to cater for the needs of that particular target market. Now, this is an example of Wall's ice cream, a famous brand in Pakistan. Now, this is the product portfolio of Wall's, and it comes with different pricing. So each item has different pricing. So you create value by offering the product at different price levels. And again, it is matched with your target market. Shan is another product in Pakistan, which is also very famous for its promotional campaigns. So it generates a lot of buzz through its promotional campaign. I'll show you one of the campaign, which I really like, and then we will talk about it in a moment.
亲爱的，你要试着在这儿交些朋友。
没那么容易，我们连吃的东西都不一样。 待会儿经过超市的时候把我放下。
ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਦੂਜਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਸਾਈਕੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੱਖਣੇ ਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਫਿਰ ਦੂਜੇ ਵੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਉੱਚੀਆਂ ਦੀਵਾਰਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਲੰਘੇ ਤੇਰੇ ਖਾਣੇ ਦੀ ਮਹਿਕ ਆਪੇ ਹੀ ਰਾਹ ਲੱਭੇ ਜੱਗ ਸਾਰਾ ਚੱਲਦਾ ਏ ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹਰ ਕੰਮ ਬਣਦਾ ਏ ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਰਗੀ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਬੋਲੀ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਜ਼ਬਾਨ ਹਰ ਸ਼ੈ ਹੋਵੇ ਬਸ ਐਸੇ ਤੋਂ ਰਵਾਂ ਕੌਣ ਮੁਰੀਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਇਸ ਦਾ ਹੀ ਹੁਨਰ ਖਿੱਚਦਾ
जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
वालेकुम अस्सलाम।
So tasty. आपने बनाई?
पहल हो वे मुस्कान दे जरिए नीयत नाल बस पहल ज करिए पहल हो वे मुस्कान दे जरिए नीयत नाल बस पहल ज करिए ऐते वर्गी ना कोई बोली ना कोई ज़बान हर शै होवे बस ऐसे तो रवा
है की रो रही है तू? ना पुत्र आंदे रिया कर ऐ भी तेरा ही घर है। हाँ
दिल का दरवाजा खुलता है खाने की खुशबू से। आओ घर का आंगन फिर से रोशन करें पड़ोसियों से। शान खुशियां चख लो।
Wow, it's one of my favorite advertisements, which also make me quite sentimental, quite senti. So you can create a lot of value through your promotional content. So Shan has been doing it in a very nice way. Then we have Place. Sapphire is again one of the brands, just like Khadi, which is creating value for its customers through their customer experience by generating the customer experience by launching these beautiful shopping outlets across Pakistan. Fourth, which is again a very important element of your four-stage model, and that is sustaining the value. So you have acquired the customer through your customer value creation through your 4 Ps, but it is so difficult to sustain the customer. So you keep on going into this value creation, which is great, but you also need to sustain the value. Kareem is doing a very good job by sustaining the value, by creating buzz around its brand, by giving different incentives to its customers. And there are different incentives that they are giving to their customers just to sustain them. So this is the four-stage model that we discussed today. We will go into the details of all these things when we'll move towards the individual chapters.